Okay, call to order.
Second.
Oh. Do we have any owner comments on the line? It doesn't look like we have any additional owners. I'd like to recognize Bill McFadden. And Bill, are you off mute now?
Yeah, I'm off mute. I'm here.
Okay. Well, what would you like to talk to the group about tonight?
Few things in regards to the Gallagher. I am going to need some sort of training on the system for all the abilities that I should be having. But I want my my 3 IT volunteers to do the training for me, and then they're going to show me what I actually need and what I don't need. The things I'd like to have the ability to do here is control my door hardware, mess around with the distance readers, because the readers will read people. If they linger by the door gets locked up from the inside. And I constantly have to show people what they have to do to be able to reverse that. The sounds, if you just walk by the front door, it makes a sound. Being able to open doors manually for events. So people, if you have 50, 60, 70 people coming through the door that don't have an access card, but they're allowed access for the night, how to unlock the door. Unlocking on hold times. And then the 2-step verification for residents. Some of the issues we've had, my app will periodically not work at the doors. I did notice that if you were connected to Bluetooth headphones, the card won't work at the door. But also there's been times where I had my Bluetooth on, not connected to anything, and it wouldn't open the door. So that's going to be a big issue with residents if that's happening periodically or more consistently. I've noticed it happens more often than not. And then, so I don't know if it's ready for residents yet. And as far as my end, I think I'm going to need the training and exactly to know exactly what the capabilities are for me at this place. We had with the old system, I was able to kind of see when people would access the clubhouse and things like that, and I just don't know where to find that stuff right now.
Yeah, you're on the same boat as I am. I've been digging around the system and looking at things, so I find what I'm looking for, especially like that report you were asking about. I found it by chance by just going to reports and just start printing reports and, well, not printing, sorry, running the report and just reading things and just finding it that way. We did sign the contract with, as part of the funds that we had the support by Gallagher. We're now waiting for Gallagher themselves to have the engineer ready because it's the holidays. They didn't have the engineer available to come to town hall and sit with us for the whole day to do that. I figured out how we can get those workstation clients that, Tom, that you've been wanting to get working at Artisan. I got it to work on different PCs within town hall. So I got that working and I know how to do that now. Now I just need to get the VPN tunneling. We found out that there are issues with Smart City that's not allowing our firewalls to create a proper VPN tunnel. So I'm thinking this is what Jose was going through when he was trying to get the VPN tunnels between Artisan and other locations to work. So we finally found someone from Smart City who was smart enough to understand that there's actually a problem. So they have acknowledged it and they're sending in, I think, 2 to 3 techs, and they're going to each and every location that we have, and they're going to test this issues that we're having. So as soon as we can get that resolved, then I can install that workstation at Artisan and at Lake and on any other PC, and I'll approve it through the server, And then we should have, with the new contract that we signed, we can have 5 concurrent users logged into the system apart from the server. So total of
Does that
6.
mean I will go into the town hall computer to use to operate the system? I'll be able to I'll have it on my computer.
You'll have it on that, not the Real Manage PC, but on
Yeah, I have
the-
one. I have a laptop that right
Yeah.
now I'm like team viewing into the other or whatever the term is.
Right, you won't have to need to team view anymore.
All right,
But
good.
I think I can get you to team view into the second PC I built so that you guys can be on your own and not have to knock the ladies off. And then you won't have to connect directly to the server. So
Yeah.
if you want to do that, I'll come by tomorrow, hopefully, and I'll walk you through on how to connect to the streaming PC, which now has the same software installed and it actually works. So you can
Okay.
use that one and stay on that as long as you like, without anyone kicking you off unless we're rebooting the machine. But
Perfect.
other than that, we're good. So once I get the dates for the training, Tom, Bill, whoever wants to be in those training, I don't know how many people we can bring into the training. I know my admin and myself will be in for the super admin training. I also did find there is a web interface. Bill, you should have access to be able to get to that web interface using the app. It's pretty basic, and I think it'll give you all the functions you need to help take care of a card issue. Configuring the doors and everything else, that's a different story. But
Gotcha.
like,
So it's a quick fix spot.
yeah, so like if you want to add a new user, you can add the user,
Or
associate the
if I'm at the
card.
pool, somebody's having trouble at the pool gate, I can fix it on the spot.
Yeah, you can check that their credentials that way. But
Right.
like configuring the system, the doors and things like that, you will need obviously the actual server part. So obviously we're not going to bypass that. We're going to get that fixed. So as soon as we get the networking part done, I will be able to get you guys all situated because we all want this. I definitely want to learn how to use it. I just figured out get the Milestone server fully now. I understand every configuration of it. And we're going to move it to the new network and make it easier for us to see everything.
Gotcha.
Okay. All right.
So
Sorry about
can
that.
I suggest, Bill, that if you have those points that you stated written down in an email, could you forward that to Dom and copy me?
Sure.
That way we've
Yes,
got
please.
a log of it and we can work on it together and make sure we're ticking off those items as we go.
Yeah, and anyone else in the committee, or because you guys have your ears on the ground out there, if no one's reporting it to us through any other systems, I'm certain that they'll be talking to members within members and residents within residents. If you hear anything about what's wrong with the doors or anything like that, please let me know, because we are scheduling a 2-day visit or 2 half-day visits with Gallagher, ProTech, the new maintenance VP, and we're going to go from building to building to building and sorting out any issues and saying, okay, no more he said, she said. You say that this is the problem. Well, here's the specialist that knows this problem. Is it the door? Is it the Gallagher system? If the maintenance guy says, nope, our door's set up, configured correctly, yes. Heritage Hall, I can definitely tell you that it's more the door than the system, because the doors are bloated, they don't close properly, and I'm sitting there waiting for the door to close, push enough close to the magnet to acknowledge and activate. I watched doing that today twice, just sitting there watching that happen. So yes, it's not a Gallagher problem. It is actually a physical door problem. The doors are old and they need to be replaced or sanded down a little bit so that they can fit better.
All the pools have worked flawlessly for me.
Okay.
Every single time I've gone to a pool, about a dozen times, they've worked perfectly.
Even the one that's got no water in it now?
Can I just make a comment
Sure.
about the remote access? So that all sounds good. I would request that on Bill's behalf that you don't disable the VPN access, the method that we're using right now, until we thoroughly test the alternative to know that it's working. Right
Well,
now,
you'll need the VPN either way. The VPN tunnel will work the same way, as just it'll work through the VPN, not having you to connect to something else to get to it. So the
Okay.
software, yeah. So
Okay.
either way you'll work on it. So for instance, if the software won't work on your computer, Tom, you can go still to the PC and remote in. So that'll be your alternative,
Yeah,
just
okay,
in case
let me
something goes
restate
wrong.
what I said. Maybe I shouldn't talked about the protocol of how we're gonna connect to the server, but what server we're actually connecting to. Right now, we're actually logging into the server through the
Mhm.
VPN tunnel. I understand we're gonna keep the VPN tunnel. I'm asking that we don't disable that ability until we've thoroughly tested the alternate that you're proposing, and you tell us that it's working and we agree that it's working, so that we don't end up in a situation where we lose connectivity. You think we're connected, but we're not. Bill uses this every day. This happens every day. So,
Right.
and I know the town hall uses it every day, but as it stands now, what we're doing is just bumping people off when we want to access it, which we don't want to be doing.
Yeah. No,
Dom, when do
we'll
you
work
think that-
on getting that done for sure.
Cool.
And
Dom,
test
when do
it
you think that
thoroughly.
walk around's going to happen? What do you think it's going to be in January? The walk around with Gallagher and the new VP.
Yeah, they did say that it's going to be January. He's going to try to see if he can pull his techs off, but they have 3 government projects going on right now at ProTech and up north. What town? Sorry, I'm not too good with Florida yet. Ocala. Yes, Ocala.
Yeah, about an hour and a half north.
Yeah, so they're working on for the government, for the state, for the city of Ocala. They're working there, so all their techs are doing all the stuff out in that area. So as soon as they can get people free from that, they'll get us through. I will try to get him to give us a confirmed date, but he is available this Tuesday coming up to do a walkthrough. I had a walkthrough with him already. He's not techie. He's just a salesman. Nothing against him, but I rather have the people that know the system and know the devices to say, hey, yep, it's a device or it's the door. I don't want a guy to take the notes that we already have and then just wait until freaking January anyway to do this. I'd rather have everyone who can do something about it on site.
Yeah, Dom, if you can give us a heads up as early as you can on when that walk around will happen in January, we can make sure that somebody from Artisan is on site that can help walk through our concerns with Bill and team. Okay.
Sure. I mean, Tom, I know you're very knowledgeable, but if you're available in,
Well, if I-
situations,
If I have enough advance notice, I can make it a point to be here. I'm actually
Okay.
be in Texas all of January. However, I am so devoted to this project that I will fly back to Celebration just to go through this walkthrough and go back to Texas.
okay.
I
I mean, if you
definitely-
have notes, I definitely know you have other things important that has to handle, but if you got notes and stuff that you know of issues, please send them
Yeah.
to me. I'll make sure we get it solved.
Find it and then we'll find it. Yep, sorry.
Okay, we're not,
Okay.
everything that we know, as we know it, we let you know. So there's really 2 items that we're discussing here, I think, the way it's breaking down now. There's the remote access capability to the server so that Bill can manage the club on a day-to-day basis. And that'll include super admin. We need to be able to control the sounds that the doors make, the distance that the readers read, all of those aspects. So we need super admin training. So that's one part. Then we need the remote access that we just talked about. So that's one side of it. Then the other side is to talk about the app itself. Now I heard John say that he's had good luck, and I have historically had, I use this every single day, multiple times per day. And I've had relatively good luck, but twice this week I had occasions where it didn't work. And I needed to restart the app to get it to work. So that, to me, that's very concerning. We know what we went through on the GoGov app where people claimed that things didn't work even when we thought they were. I'm just trying to avoid a recurrence of that. And I don't think we as a tech committee should sign off and say that we endorse rolling out the app until we're confident that this is a solid app and that it works every time. It shouldn't require a restart. So I had that 2 times this week, and I know Bill has called me over there several times now, Bill McFadden I'm talking about, telling me that he tried to get in and the app didn't work. So you have to look at Bill as just a normal everyday user. He's not technical. So if Bill's having trouble getting the app to work, that's a red flag in my mind.
Well, there should be some log files through the admin portal to see what the issue is, right?
Yeah.
If it's a miscommunication or authentication failure or something, that's one thing. If it's just something on the device itself, depending what versions are running, what version of the app you have, I mean, there could be a whole slew of things right on that side of it.
Yeah,
I
we'll
think the
need to
bizarre
see if
thing
there's
is
a
it
log.
works. It works and then it doesn't. Like for somebody like Tom Hall,
Yeah.
who's using it daily, it's kind of if the app's not working, it's probably not going to log anything in the Gallagher system anyway because it's a miscommunication.
Yeah.
The app should have
Yeah.
a log as well. So we'll need to
Yeah.
talk to Gallagher and ask them where can we find the logs so we can send it to them and have them diagnose it.
Well, that is a key point. That is a key point right there. Because I don't disagree with what John said. I mean, that would be the first place that we went is to the logs. But as you've already recognized and we stated, this is a real complicated system. This is not to just go look at the logs. This log could be buried 10 pages deep. So it's hard to look at the log and see exactly what failed. Once we get through the training, which I'll feel so much better about, we'll know where to go and look to see when there's an issue so that we can call it out.
Right.
By the way, it goes at one point. Most of the issues that I have had with the app have always been when I've been trying to use it in background mode. So if you're familiar with, how the app works, when you pull out your app and you call up the Gallagher screen and it's visible to you on the face of your phone, it generally always works. I can't say that I had a problem where it has not worked in that case. But if you go into the settings, there's also a background mode. So you've called up the app, it's running, but you actually have something else running in addition, and it's running in the background. It's in that case that I find that the operation's intermittent, that sometimes it doesn't work. And I think we need to understand exactly what's happening there and why. Now, I tried it today and it did work in background mode. So I just don't understand.
Well, so the background for any application that's not GPS or music cannot keep running. It can have some calls for background data to be added to it, and that's how that works. I just checked the app. There is an export log set in the settings, so you can export logs from that. But also from the Gallagher side, I was just working with a customer today. Just for example, like you can only create a certain amount of Apple IDs on a device and it doesn't let you do it anymore. So there could be some mechanisms in Gallagher like that they prevent some kind of fraud where if I don't know, we'd have to ask them, but there could be some things why it wouldn't work because, right, it's pinging it too many times or doing this or that, but logs would show that, or Gallagher should be able to tell us that, but it's fair, Tom. I agree. It should have a extremely high success rate.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with not having background access. If we just said that, there is no background access, you have to have the app showing and then you scan your phone. It's a nice feature to not require that because people wouldn't have to pull out their phone. They could just leave this app running all the time. But if it is present, like it is, then it should work. That's my point. Every time, 100%.
Bill McFadden,
There's got to be products or something.
Well, Bill's the guy who found this. Like I said, I the first week that we put this on, I would say Bill called me 3 times and said, "Hey, this thing doesn't work. I don't even use it anymore." Well, that's really disturbing. I don't know, Bill, you can speak for yourself.
Well, the first 2 times were my fault. The first time my Bluetooth wasn't on. And then the second time I was connected to my headphones, but every time since then it's been numerous times
Numerous times
Okay.
at what?
that it doesn't work.
Yeah. Well, we need to understand that.
Yeah, and the reason for understanding is we don't want to roll this out neighborhood wide and then the support calls come flooding in. So, Bill McFadden, is there anything else you need from this team tonight?
No, everything I said will be emailed to whoever, to Domenico and to you and Tom, and we'll go from there.
Thanks. Thanks for your patience with the process.
No, you're
Appreciate
good.
your input.
The process would be further along, further away from being finished if I didn't have you and Andrew and Tom helping me out with everything. So thank you.
Our pleasure.
Okay, take care,
Okay.
guys.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank
Bill. Okay, we have no more outside committee comments to go. So do we have a motion to
Bill,
adopt the agenda?
Just to finish on that thought, so the background, usually there's there can be a Bluetooth, a low power Bluetooth beacon that's sent from a transmitter, and the device, it's the OS, it's not the app. We do not let the app run in the background. The device, the OS can hear that beacon, right, and then send a notification to the app, and then the app will then, but the app can't turn back on. We don't allow that. So I'm interested more how Gallagher wrote that, right?
Yeah, I almost wish Gallagher made it like a wallet card, the way that like your Disney season pass works or your credit cards work, where you just Face ID, tap and go. But that's a question for Gallagher.
Yeah.
It's also, I think it's because on the Android side, you're a little bit more freedom
Oh, 100%.
to do certain things. But I think also I have had issues, but I know why mine are issues with my Bluetooth, because I have my phone always on power save mode. So all background apps automatically just shut off. And even though I have stuff running in the background, I don't get any updates because I have it on power save. So you have to check those too. That's one of the things we should look into and kind of make a note if that's one of the cases, that, hey,
there's different frameworks also that Gallagher can use, like a VoIP app. When you have a VoIP app, the app won't open up when you have a call. You'll get a notification saying there's a call waiting. You have to, on iOS, now Android can do whatever you want. On iOS, you actually have to open the app to answer the call. And I have a lot of customers that hate that. But we do have Call Kit, which will allow to use the phone dialer to accept that call. But the developer has to use those frameworks for it to work that way, right? So again, we just have to talk to Gallagher about that. But I think every comment that Bill made and Tom, 100% fair. And we need to do our diligence with that.
Cool. Can we adopt the agenda? Who wants to motion to adopt the agenda? Tom Hall, Molly, you second. John, you second. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, anybody want to talk about Gallagher now? Or we all talked out about Gallagher? No more Gallagher's on the table.
Well, the only thing I would say, I'm not traveling for work anymore. I'm willing, if you want me to go, and again, it's worked every time for me. But again, I've used North Village Pool and Circle Pool. I think the one on the East Lawn I've tried. But I'm happy to go to Artisan. I'm happy to try other places just because I can get into the phone and see what the phone's doing with like settings and stuff. So we should eventually, after we get feedback from Gallagher themselves, is create a best practice framework for our residents and make a video or training or in person, right? Because there's always a setting or two that you can, depending, and you can never guarantee what version of the OS people are running, Android or iOS, right? So there has to be some kind of guide here. If you want the best optimal experience with the Gallagher app, this is how you have to have it. If they choose not to do it on their phone or not, at least we gave them the guidance.
Yeah. And when Gallagher has like updates and stuff like that we need to make sure of, we as town hall can send out a notice and saying, hey, everyone, if you want the optimal experience, please make sure you have this iOS version that just came out and this version of Gallagher, or make sure your Gallagher's up to date. Going to work
Oh, you
properly.
mean regular
for you.
tech support? Yeah, okay. That old thing we all do all the time for everybody.
I mean, Bill, you might even know more than this. Just me personally, and I have season passes to Disney. I would say 10-15% of the time I've gone with my family and my phone didn't work and had somebody have to come over and check their back end system on their iPads, right? So
Same
So-
thing.
So now that we're in the open discussion of Gallagher, and we didn't really need Bill McFadden for this part of it. You already addressed, Dom, you already addressed the capability of accessing the server and changing the records and you're working on a path. But you had also, in response to my email, you had sent me a link to try. And that link connected me with sort of a remote management tool. My particular app, when you clicked on that link, it opened up a web browser and it asked you for credentials. And then after the credentials, it asked you for an authenticator code. Now, I don't know, only the astute will remember when I brought up a couple meetings ago about why are we seeing an authenticator code? Who needs to see that? Well, now it makes sense. Now I understand why we need to see it. Here's the issue, though. The issue is that I don't see the authenticator code.
You have to be a part of the admin group.
Okay, so great. Bill McFadden is part of the group, and he does see. Well, first question is, on a temporary basis, I'm asking to be added to the admin group so that I can now test this functionality.
You got it.
Secondly, Bill McFadden, who is part of this group, does have the authenticator code. We could not figure out, after several attempts of trying between myself and I don't know if it was you, Bill Long, or Andrew Cook, to get this to work. It would not accept his authenticator credentials. We never got it to, we were never able to log in. So my question is,
Okay.
is this something that we're going to, it looks like it might be cool. Somebody like Bill, who's going to be just a user, the vast majority of the time, Bill will be a user. When he wants something special, like a sound change at the door, which we've already done on our own doors, he's going to come to us and ask us to do that, and we will do it for him. Bill is not going to dive into the bowels of the Gallagher software to make changes to how the doors work. So we'll do that for him. But as a user, to enable somebody's badge or lock them out, like we know happened this week, this app seems like this is the ideal path for somebody like Bill. So we would like to get this to work. So can you help us make this happen?
Yeah, we can schedule a time and I'll come over to Artisan and we'll play with it. And we'll see what's missing, what I have, what you don't have. Make sure we have all the configs correct and we'll test it.
Okay, because I didn't want to uninstall the app, as I said in my email to you. I don't know if you saw that. I didn't see a response from you, but I didn't want to uninstall.
I was waiting for, yeah. I sent that email to Gallagher.
I didn't want to burn a license because these licenses cost money. So if I uninstall,
Right.
I was afraid if I reinstall, I'd be burning on one of our licenses. So I didn't want to do that.
No, you'll get the same license back.
Okay,
That
All
one
right.
goes right back to you because it's assigned to your account, not your, it goes to your phone, but it's also to your account. So if you lose your phone, you just re-sign back in and then we reassign it to
okay.
yours.
all right. So we need help. The main person who needs this functionality is Bill. We'd like to test it for him so we can train him on it. So if you can enable me, when I looked in the Gallagher app, I was listed as an admin. So I don't know why I didn't see it.
There's a group I think that you need to add. It's not only just the admin, but it's the group, an admin group that gives you that,
Okay.
the
all right,
counter.
Okay. All right. So that's it for me on that.
Okay. All right. So I have some
And-
action items for you. I'll,
Yeah.
get that going and we'll set a date to come visit you at Artisan.
Great.
Okay.
Any other Gallagher topics?
Yeah, I guess looking out, right? So training is in January. Training guide, try to complete by the February meeting and then go live in February. Is that the new plan?
I think there'd have to be a pretty strong degree of confidence that we can recommend the workarounds that are needed I mean, we're talking a very small subset of people here so far, and we're seeing as much as I love it and I want it, and I think the community would benefit. I think we need to make sure it's a lot more rock solid before we launch. But I think February is optimistic at this point.
Andrew, are they paid in full, Gallagher? Or Viking Security or PC Solutions, whatever their name is?
I have to confirm, but I would think that, yeah, ProTech and the other guys were already paid out, and we already paid for the license for 3 years. That we're just running
Yeah.
out of time.
We don't, we do
signed
have,
off
I
on-
think, a last bill to go.
We signed off on statement of work that I mean, so we're just basically, this is like warranty services now, not sign off.
I have not done a sign off.
Okay.
We had a sign off, well, the, how should I say? The punch list meeting. So we had that, but I did not sign off on them saying that they're completed.
All right, 'cause
We had,
sometimes
it was supposed to be done in August with Jose,
Yeah.
but that didn't happen, obviously. So I have not done a sign off. So
Because
we
you know
still
there'll be
do
a lot
have
more
a
motive.
bill to pay.
yeah, they'll be a lot more motivated if they're waiting to get paid rather than
Mhm.
warranty services. Right?
And
Yes.
Dom, can you reach out to Jacob and Lauren and advise them that there shouldn't be any final payment until you sign off on it, so they have awareness that this is not just another bill to pay, but there's
Well,
work that needs to be done.
Lauren is very well aware of not doing that because I ask questions and I'm waiting for them to respond. It's gotten slower and I'm certain it's probably because of the holidays, but
That's
I
fine.
don't, that shouldn't be an excuse for business work. So I will hound them until I get an answer. But the walkthrough, I think for me is when I do the sign off. Once we do the full walkthrough and we have an understanding of where the problem lies, and once they fix their part, if it's ours, then we fix that, as part of the facility side. But if it's theirs, I want to make sure every part of their system is fixed. Obviously, I've asked for the engineer to come back and do a best practice setup and help us redesign or create a whole new domain per se underneath this Gallagher system that we currently have, and create all new proper profiles in the sense of how the doors work, have it work realistically. Because right now, I think some of it was simply just copy and paste from the old system, which isn't working very well on the Gallagher side. Because there's doors that are linked to other doors that shouldn't be linked, and where we've gotten some issues where I'll close Lakeside early because they said they're closing it for maintenance or whatever. I'll close it an hour early, and it closes all the doors an hour early, except for the 2 doors that I wanted to close. Don't know why, but so we want to, get that clearly looked at by them to give us a best practices, or they come in and just say, all right, here's all your doors. How do you want them to work? What do they need to be grouped as? We configure it all. They set it all up, give us the information. I give it to Tom for the artisan. We'll give everything to Tom, and they can all see it, see how it looks. We're all happy, and we can actually now look at the groupings better. I'm happy. Then we can
Yeah,
sign off.
But on the resident side, I think our group should go through, because if there's going to be issues like Bill and Tom have experienced, we need to experience those errors, because we can then know from our phones, from our settings, what iOS is running, what version of Android's running. So we'd rather find those issues and come up with fixes instead of letting residents get out there and have the issues and come complaining to board meetings, right? So we can come up with a little punch list of things that we want to go. And I'm happy to shoot to any building. John Trifone, I don't have an Android device, so probably need something else, or somebody with an Android device to do some testing. Dom, I know you do, so maybe you want to do. So we don't want to have a meeting 3 months from now and, hey, tech committee, how come you guys didn't go test this stuff? We're having all these issues. Didn't you know about all these issues? And I said, well, we spent, and that's just an example, we spent 30 hours out there testing every door ourselves, and this is the list of best practice, and those people will shut that, they'll sit down real quick and not have something to blame.
Right.
Yeah,
You got it.
I 100% echo what you just said, John. My request would be a slight modification to what Andrew just said, and I asked him to endorse this proposal, that Dom, when he signs off, it's with the concurrence of the chair of the technology committee that he signs off on it, that he doesn't just sign off unless Bill representing us agrees that it's ready to be signed off.
I agree, Tom. That's a great point.
Andrew, do you
I
agree with that? I mean, you're the board member.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I mean, I would hope that you guys are all on board when Dom signs off on it. So if you want to put that caveat in, I'm perfectly fine with it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'll let you guys know that I'm happy to sign off on it before I actually sign off on it. It'll be, hey, it looks like everything we have issues with has been fixed. In my belief, we can sign off, and then I'll just wait for a response from Bill.
Yeah, and Dom, just a little background. Some people, again, we're always going to have these people complain about GoGov, and a lot of them were more on the back porch, which I don't give a crap about, but still. Tom, me, Bill, Jose, guys, how many hours did we spend on GoGov testing, on Friday calls, going through this, getting up to the, we literally spent, and Tom probably spent the most time, hundreds and hundreds of hours doing our diligence and our job on this. So to have people accuse us of not doing anything, it just, you have to have the facts, right, to give them.
Yeah, you got it. That's very true. Okay, I'm
Going
Gallagher'd
once,
out.
Going twice. Any other comments on Gallagher? All right, let's move on to another wonderful topic: EV solutions for Lakeside.
Yes.
What's
So,
the update?
I'm going to present the bill. And that's just to fix the communications on it. That doesn't fix the rest of it. This is just to get it communicating with their system so they can figure out what else is wrong with the unit.
That's a nice.
That's $3,700. And that's just the start of it. That's no guarantee. I mean, you guys know better than I how often this has been fixed. I've been here. It's been fixed multiple times. And it's
Are
been
they
broken
saying they've
more
got to
often than
rent? Are they
Yes,
saying they've got to
they
rent
are.
an
They're
EV
going to
to
rent
test
an
it? Love it.
Yep.
Oh boy.
Yes. So there you go. In big colors. And
Well-
this is nowhere, shape, or form that this says that that'll fix the complete problem.
Well, if we take them out and get 2 more parking spots, people will be happy.
Right. I mean, we can replace these with, simpler units, the other Nova chargers we can get, the regular ones, or we can switch to Ubiquity where we can make money off of it directly, instead of getting pennies on the dollar from Nova Charge directly, we can go direct. And this is something I brought up the last time. So if you guys are into it, we can go buy a test model and we can test it and we could run commercials off of it because this could help Kanoa as well. Because currently, there's no ads happening for Kanoa. We can do ads for them. So while someone's charging their car and they're sitting in their car for 30 minutes, they can see all the businesses that are here in Celebration. They can also see the events happening here at Celebration. And 9 out of 10 times, I'm assuming that it's a resident that's coming to charge their vehicle in the area. So
I don't know about that. I think it's people going to dinner for a couple hours and want to add 100 miles to their car.
yeah, I've seen someone plug their Mustang Mach-E at Town Hall the past week and keeping that charged in all day because it's a slow charger.
Yeah. Have we talked to CCDD and them about that? Because they were looking to partner last year about maybe putting something on the street over there.
By Lakeside or by?
Yeah, by Lakeside. They were talking about on the street putting a couple chargers by Columbia.
I can go back. I can go to
If we're gonna invest
Lauren
money,
and ask her.
if we're
see
gonna
if they
invest
did.
money or thinking some options right now, I don't know, Andrew, how you feel, but I would ping Greg because he's talked to me about it in the past numerous times.
Yeah, I'm not
Greg
aware
is,
that they're going to be taking any steps to put anything in, but I think
Yeah.
it would be appropriate that it should be outside of the park, not on Crowa land, to serve that businesses and everything else down there rather than
Even the parking
having
lot.
one that people shouldn't be using.
Right. So Greg Fielak, Dom, is the president of CCDD or
Okay.
CD, whatever.
Tom Townsend now.
Oh, Tom's now? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. I've talked to Tom at length too many times. I'm sure Tom has as well.
And again, the fact that I think downtown needs their own, that's a separate conversation, I think, for Lakeside as well. I think our conversation should be, is this system worth repairing, or do we truly go with something new, which initial lean sounds like something new, but I'll let you guys discuss further.
Bill, again, if you ask me my opinion, I would say it's to benefit non-residents who are using the downtown area, not residents, mostly charge at home. I mean, that's what my guess would be if I was asked. So I don't know, Bill, if you agree with that as a fellow EV owner. So
Me too.
yeah, removing them, I don't think hurts residents. I think it hurts people coming in to use the downtown facility.
Well, at the Lakeside spot, do non-residents go there? Because with the signs and everything.
They're allowed to go in there to charge, but they're allowed to, but they're scared because they read the signs. But yes, legally they can go in and charge.
Okay.
I will add one comment regarding any homeowner complaints would be the apartments and condos and townhomes all down there. They're not able to charge. They don't have spots to be able to charge in their different areas. So they have used Lakeside.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, had. So, I mean, I'm all for trying this new technology. We have the outlets, we have the power there, the products we can play with. I'm up to doing one of the cornerstones of Celebration. Bring out technology and start making it out, put it out there that we are trying to go out to the modern world and make them look nice and pretty and not have these bulky monsters sitting out there.
And then I guess, Dom, if we do replace them with something new and we go away from NovaCharge, is there anything in their contract existing that they kind of own those for a set period of time or anything of that nature?
They think their contract is almost over. We do support them outright in the sense of anything goes wrong with them, we have to fix it. They don't come out to fix it whatsoever. So don't have an electrical license, so I'm not a labor union 3 member. So I tend to not want to get shocked trying to fix one of those things.
Yeah, just if there is no resistance with NovaCharge, we can pretty much take them over and do our own thing. Then yeah, they are slower chargers that I think they should be improved. Then what those options are and how much does that cost to see if it makes sense.
I think in order to move forward on this, we have to get some facts together. We've been out of the loop since Jose did the work with NovaCharge, but if you remember the first contract that we reviewed, in that contract, it said that we would turn over these chargers to NovaCharge. They would become the property of NovaCharge, and we would give them to them free. We had a point of contention that they said if we wanted the chargers back, John, you remember this, that we would have to buy them back, which we objected to. They went back and said, hey, we don't want to have to buy them back. They said, this is not negotiable. This is our contract. If you want us to manage if you want us to manage these chargers, those are the terms. What we don't know is what you, as the board, signed off on and agreed to. We asked them to review the contract. We never saw it. So we have absolutely no idea what they agreed to. But we do know is that we have tons of data, and I was actually going to look it up as we speak, the history on these 2 chargers, in fact, all of the chargers when they were operational. We know exactly every month how many people charged at them and how many times they failed. We kept data, a separate report on the failures. And these 2 chargers, the 2 BTC 50 kilowatt chargers, were, I'm going from memory, but I'm going to say in the order of 20%, John, maybe you remember the number, on the order of 20% of the time, these chargers failed. They didn't work when a person pulled up. When we were complaining about these to Duke Energy, when Duke Energy still owned them, and throughout the duration, and it never got fixed. My view is, and I'm an EV owner, my view is get rid of them. BTC is no good as a supplier of of DC chargers, even though they're one of the largest. Now you've got pull with Disney. You know, maybe you could go to the CJC meeting and say, hey, you know, can you guys give these guys a kick and say, you got to get in there and give us something, something good to replace these. Otherwise, get them out of there. $4,000 for somebody to come and look at a charger and connect to it and then tell us what's wrong and what an additional charge. To me, that's insane. Now they are $50,000 a piece, and we got them for free. So I don't really, I hate to put that aside, but the reality is they've been sitting there, I would say now, I don't know, maybe a year, useless, that they're not working. So what good are they? They're taking up space. People objected to their look. They objected to where we put them, even though they didn't understand all the constraints as to why they ended up there. I say either replace them with level 2s if you want to have some charging capability because the power is already there, or get them out and turn them back to parking places.
So you're saying go back to what we had before with the level 4 level 2s, or just do away with it altogether?
Well, I'm saying two options. You'll remember, even though you know, one of our existing board members completely ignored this input, that we had data. Like 40% of the charging sessions were taking place at the level 2s. These were likely people that lived over at Mirasol and needed a place to park, or people that wanted a prime parking place and wanted to go in the pool and wanted to have charging take a long time so they could swim and have a prime parking place. Those two categories. What I'm saying, no one looked at that data. They said they looked at it, but we know they didn't. To see what the utilization of the level 2s versus the DC chargers was. But I can tell you, it was something like 38% or 40% of the charging sessions were at level 2s. Those are now gone. The fast chargers had a very high failure rate. So we have no level 2 chargers, and the remaining DC chargers are unreliable. So either make them level 2s, power is already there, right? It's okay to have wire that's too big. We can always put in a smaller circuit breaker and put some level 2 chargers in that same spot and have two level 2s, or just take them out altogether and return the whole area back to resident parking. But don't try to fix these BTCs unless Andrew can pull some strings with Disney and get BTC to do something.
Are you opposed to putting level 3, just replace them with different level 3s?
Well, if somebody will pay for it, but these are expensive. I find it hard to believe that the board.
Well, if they can keep all the money generated from it, we might get somebody to do it again.
Well,
sure. If it doesn't cost us anything.
Yeah, I did go to a couple of different vendors. They have minimums. So if you want to put a supercharger in there, Tesla wants 8 superchargers. If you want Tesla to come out there. Now, knowing Celebration, and they have one outside of Celebration, they'll probably put it in, but that means we would have to lose 8 spots. And I don't think that's going to fly.
Yeah. That's why we lost.
Changing those 2 to, level 2s, I think we can get away with it because at least now someone can charge. Every other vendor has the same, almost close enough to the same amount. Now, if we had friends or colleagues or someone that works at Tesla that can bypass that requirement, then let them put only 2 in, that'd be great. But I don't know anyone in Tesla to be able to do that. If any of you have friends in Tesla, maybe that'd be great. We could try it.
Well, I guess if that's the baseline, then it sounds like 2 doesn't make sense anymore. So it almost now leans toward take them out. But if 8 is where it needs to be, then that's a conversation with Kanoa and CDD of you have the parking lots. Where are you going to put that thing?
Right.
Yeah, the Tesla chargers should be in the Kanoa parking lots. That's the place that makes the most sense. As a Tesla owner for many years now, the level 2s were the only ones I used at the Lakeside pool. I couldn't work with the 50 kilowatt DC ones. They just never worked right for me. So anytime I'd go downtown, I would charge my car. I did that as just a normal habit. And if I remember right from the graphs we had of activity, usage was continually going up. Now, what we heard from the community is nobody ever uses it. I walk by there every day. Nobody's ever charging, but the data showed otherwise. We had charging data. So I think the question on the consensus question from everybody's discussion is, do we take out the 50 kW fast-ish chargers, I'll say. That's a third of the speed of the Tesla chargers over by Five Guys. And put back in level 2s, 2 regular level 2 chargers, which are sufficient for people in apartments, and that could be a good option. How do we proceed? Do we make a recommendation to the board to investigate this, give our recommendation on this? Andrew, how do you? I agree with Tom, putting more money into these charges that may or may not work, $4,000 for a possibility, it just doesn't. Molly, what you got?
Yeah, I just had a question to clarify. So the 50 ones, that is, how does that compare to the level 2s? Are they half as fast, twice as
The level
fast?
2s can go as high as 11 kilowatts.
About 20 miles, about 20, 25 miles back to your battery usually on a level 2, right?
Yeah.
The level 3s, you can, at least in the Tesla ones, right? You get like 150 miles in 30 minutes.
But the ones that are
Those-
there are nowhere near that speed.
Right, they're about
They-
50 or 60 miles per hour, I think. And when I put mine there once, 75 miles, something like that, I added in an hour.
So it goes
So the-
50
the-
level 2 Tesla.
Pardon me?
It goes like the 50 ones, the level 2s, then the Teslas in terms of
It's
speed.
level
No.
250, and then Tesla's
Level
at
250,
150 or
yes.
250.
Yeah,
Okay.
the
level
level
twos-
3s will start at 50, 50, and then go all the way up to what, 350 now for level
Yeah.
3?
Yeah,
And then level
On the high end.
2s, I've seen the current ones we have from NovaCharge are 7.5 watts. And the units that I'm looking at are 11 watts. I think
Yeah.
11.4, something like that.
it's 7
Okay.
kilowatts, but
Kilowatt.
you're absolutely right. That is the number. The level 2s were supposed to be 7 kilowatts. Now, we measured the ones at Town Hall and they were only 3.5. But they were supposed to be 7. This is per Duke Energy. And then the 50 kilowatts is 50. So it's that simple. Here, you guys can see this data, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So this is the last of the reports that we submitted from March. And I just want to direct your attention to the bottom. Anybody who says we never used them, 8,864 sessions. This is the real data. This is right from the chargers themselves. And these percentages you're seeing here in this gray column, these are the number of failures of the DC chargers by month. Now, this particular report, well, actually, it goes back to the beginning of time. So you can see, and then we have all kinds of graphical data. I'm not going to kill you, but this was thoroughly data-driven reports that absolutely nobody looked at, which pained me. But so this shows exactly where people charged, and this graph on the right, which I'd like to be able to move over if I knew how. This shows you who used what chargers. So the blue were the level 2s, the oranges was the fast chargers, and you can see by month what people used what chargers. So taking out the level 2s, my opinion, that was a mistake. 68% of the charging sessions were DC charging sessions, but that's a lot of charging sessions were in the level 2s. And I know John was a big proponent of the level 2s, and the data backs it up that people were using them. So anyway, that's all water over the dam right now because the chargers are gone. It becomes a matter of what do we do with the DC chargers, and it's not just a simple matter of us replacing the DC chargers because those are very special chargers. Those chargers run on 208 3-phase. DC chargers typically need 480 volts. We don't have 480 volts present there at that transformer. The secondary output on the transformers is 208. To have 480 there, we would have to have Duke Energy come in with a crane and pull the transformer out and put a new transformer in with a 480 volt output. That would be very expensive. They're not going to do it for free. So it would have to be a charger that uses 208 3-phase. That's why the chargers are so big. When you look at them, you go, why in the world are these things so big? The other chargers, DC chargers, are small. It's because they run on 208. But that's what was available from the transformers that were there. So
And
all I can
Tom, in
say
this
is,
data, is there any way to show or tie back to whether it was a resident or non-resident charging?
No,
well,
there was no way.
Not from this data, but we did have. The answer is at this point in time, no. But at the time, we knew all of the users' names. Yes, we had data, but for privacy reasons, we did not save that data. We felt like that would be not well received. So we knew every individual's name who charged.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I think there was 7,000 at Lakeside, if you go all the way to the left, if 6,000 of it was non-residents, then clearly there's a need for Kanoa and CCDD to provide something downtown, but shouldn't be the responsibility of CROA.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying these are the facts of the usage of those chargers. So this is the real data right here. So anyway, I don't know what we do with all this stuff.
So we're coming up on 1 hour. Is it the
I love listening to Tom geek out on his electric. The electric engineer there. I love it. All comes out.
Well, this is
I guess
the
I'll put it
data
out to
that
you
no-
guys. It almost sounds like these things need to get pulled out. That I don't see
Yeah.
an avenue to repair them, and I don't think the infrastructure is there that a replace is going to be an easy job to put something new.
So then I agree with that statement. Do the other committee members agree that the 50 kWs need to come out? Is that our recommendation to the board?
I agree. I think once you went down that road with Jared last year about parking spaces are more important than chargers, I don't know how you stop that. And now it's going to cost money.
Molly, your thoughts?
Can I just ask 2 questions? How many chargers are in there now?
Two.
Only-
At Lakeside, there's 2, and then there's 2 at Town Hall, and then there's 2 at the dog park.
But they're the slower chargers, not
Yeah.
the fast chargers.
For the Tesla requirement of 8, is it 8 in the same parking lot, or is it 8
Mhm.
as?
Yeah. They drop
Same
in
area,
a big. The Tesla conversation would have to be done in the commercial area. It's really not a conversation for us. If you've ever been to a Tesla charger, they're either in shopping centers, gas stations, grocery store parking lots. I've been to one in South Carolina.
We just
Yeah, so
we just did a Tesla road trip, and we had to spend an hour in a gas station, but then we won $50 in the gas station with gambling, so really worked out.
there you go.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah, so-
the recommendation is to pull them out too.
Okay, second topic. Do we want to talk about putting level 2s back in their place? Or do we just want to forego EV altogether and call it into this experiment of EV charging and celebration?
I would follow up
At
with
Lakeside.
Yeah, I would follow with CCD and talk to them because again, they have ideas about street, the Stetson parking lot, which to me is still downtown. You just walk through the little trail right there and you're
Yeah.
down.
So we have, of the board members, all 4 are okay with recommending they be taken out. Yes, vote. Okay. 4 votes. Okay. And we're not going to say anything about replacing Lakeside with level 2s. Do we want to pursue that? Nobody wants to pursue that. Okay.
Now I'd say move
So-
on. Yeah,
Okay.
go forward, not backwards.
Okay. So Andrew, what needs to happen at the board level? I guess you would have to have a vote on removing them at the board, and then
Yeah, we would have to, I'll throw a discussion item on there to have it. Then we'll direct Grand Manners to obtain what the cost would be for removal. And then that would come back to the board to approve that cost to physically remove them.
okay.
Would there
Great.
be any votes to be done in the sense that the community might want to say, no, we want chargers there. Can you fix them or replace them? Would that happen?
That would be at the opportunity of the discussion item. And then
Okay.
again, at the action item to actually approve to remove them.
Got it. Okay.
And the board-
Learning,
the
this is
board
a
can
learning
bring it-
aspect for me as well.
Well, and the board can then go to repair the ones we have that have been broken for a while. To initially even get the next step, it would be $4,000, and all the residents would probably say no, with no guarantee that that's going to fix it.
Andrew, one of the things that we came under a lot of fire and the previous boards came under a lot of fire was there was the claim that all of this happened under the table in the committee meetings that nobody attended and they weren't, it was private and all that. And when in fact, we had 13 public meetings on this very topic of the just Lakeside Chargers. However, that said, it doesn't matter. In the court of public opinion, this was all done with no notice to residents, and all of a sudden, with these chargers, these gas stations popped up in the middle of our swimming pool parking lot. My suggestion as a board member is that you put it in a Friday flash or something that says, hey, we're thinking about taking out the chargers at Lakeside. We would like to hear from you if you disagree or you agree. And then we can say we've given public notice. We publicly noticed that we're taking them out. We let a period of time go by and then bam, they disappear. Then when, I won't mention the name, the 5 or 6 whalers come out of the woodwork and say, we're upset that we didn't know. We point to this and say, here it is. It was published on this date. You didn't say anything then. There will be people complaining.
Molly, is your family, do you own an EV?
Yeah, we have
Okay,
Tesla.
so all 4 technology committee members who voted to remove them are EV owners. That's another thing you can say if we really get pushback. So
Well, I think the direction is
Yeah.
that it shouldn't fall on Crow. It's that the downtown area in some commercial space, that's where EV belongs. And yeah, we're
Yeah.
taking ours out, but it's up to Kanoa and CCDD to step up and fill that void, which truly is their need.
Right, and take the burden off the residents for maintaining chargers that are not working half the time.
So you're not anti-EV, it's just Lakeside isn't the right place.
Correct.
And these machines are impaired and not functional. So
And as Tom mentioned, there are electrical limitations on those for capacity as well that we're taking into consideration, right?
Also, it's really bothering me that the service company for EVs are trying to charge us to rent an EV for the day so they can test it. Like, they're not being good partners. If you want our business, you wouldn't be charging us for that, or at least you wouldn't be putting it as a line item.
in 4 hours to drive from Tampa to a Celebration and back too, that was fun in there too.
It's
Yeah.
every,
I had to look
Are
up where
they
that
charging-
location.
For 4 people, I saw that they did it by 4 people. I'm like, you're not going to send 4 people. That's ridiculous.
I didn't
It's
look
every-
at the bid, but do they have gas mileage on there as part of the bill?
well, you know, it's every service provider. Celebration's rich. Everybody lives in Celebration's rich, and we can double the price.
Yeah.
Great.
Dom, can you throw back up the agenda? I think we have one more item before
You got it.
comment.
Rec Pro O&R, status quo with that, I assume?
So, so for Rec Pro, we've come up to the end of the contract. So we looked at, obviously there's some issues with Rec Pro, things that we need fixing. So we're at a point at the discussion with them. They've given us a quote to, for the next 3 years for servicing, Rec Pro to keep us going. With that service, it brings us to Day Smart, which is the parent company now of Rec Pro. It has all the features that Nikki from Parks and Rec's department is saying we need. It has everything she's been dying for, and it's now web-based in the cloud, not on a server sitting on our network. And it has the pay abilities, it has profile abilities, it has everything that she's been looking for. Now the residents can now book their rooms and pay for a deposit themselves, and it's all recorded. They can look at their own histories of when they booked something or when they've gone to an event. They have it there. And as long as their kids are in that group, the kids can book their own event, and obviously their cards can be paid for through their own cards on the system. It's a lot nicer than the current Rec Pro. So Nikki's asking to continue to go forward with the Rec Pro. And if the committee wants to go with ONR, we will push ONR to come back to the table and tell us what their timeline will be for putting all the features that you've requested to have working, and to shut off whatever features you also, again, I've not been here for the discussions of when it came out originally. But we will go back to them and try to get them to fix it. But my experience with IT design, if they're going to put stuff to design for free, I will do best endeavors to get your request actioned. And that could be 18 months, 2 years before something will come to fruition. And by then we'll be out of there. I think we signed some sort of negotiational contract with them to get ONR working. We'll fall out of that contract, and then, we'll have to pay again. I don't know the product myself. You guys may have tested it in the past. Me looking at Rec Pro and then looking at the new DaySmart version of Rec Pro, it's very nice. And it's exactly everything that we're currently used to, but more modern and actually works.
Yeah, I would say our team would probably want to look and just see the new version of it. I'll say for ONR, we had huge battles about that as well. I personally got up numerous times and fought against Owner, because Owner was a Swiss Army knife that did everything, and we were supposed to do the GoGov in it as well. And I'm so happy we didn't go ahead with Owner for that. Even all the issues we had with GoGov, it would have been 10 times worth, I think, if we would have used Owner for that as well.
Okay.
So that's just my take.
I will send the committee the link to the new Rec Pro. I'm going to see if they have the recording of the presentation that they gave us, and I'll forward that to you guys as well. Yeah, so right now the new contract is below 5,000. So
yeah, the one thing, and let Tom jump in, and it's valid, Tom, I'm not discarding. I think it's valid about having too many apps for too many things in Celebration. That was the argument of having too many apps, and I'm not disagreeing with that.
And with this, I believe with the new Day Pro, I got to re-ask the question to confirm it. I don't want to talk out of the bottom here. I believe it has an API. So Gallagher also has an API. So that's something we can get a third-party vendor out there, or someone who knows how to do API calls. I can dabble in it, and we can make them work together, pretty much. They also someone noticed actually something new that I myself didn't realize. We have celebrationfl.us, and then we have Parks and Recs. 2 different websites to do the same thing. Well, 2 different sites that belong to Celebration. Our communications person said, well, why don't we put it all under one house? So everyone goes to celebration.fl.us to access the Parks and Recs information, and they just click on the link there and they work within that one page. Even though they'll bring them somewhere else, it's all under celebration.fl. So that can happen with the new Rec Pro. They will help us get that done. They are forwarding us a lot of discounts. So the upgrade is free, the training is free, and any configurations will be free. The customers who are already signed into previous Rec Pro will probably just have to click on a link and revalidate themselves to make sure that all the information is correct, and they're the most active list or current list that we have of residents sitting in Celebration. Because I believe that there are still some old stuff within Rec Pro from residents who no longer live here.
So let me pose this, because my understanding is that the move to ONR was more to have an all-encompassing one-stop shop for everything.
Yep.
Clearly, we are very far from that. If new Rec Pro serves this solution, then in the interim, we have the Gallagher app and we have the new Rec Pro app, and that's what we move forward. And then maybe longer term, we incorporate ONR as one app to house everything, but we're definitely not at that point.
Yeah, and we have to get them to design everything because they currently don't work with Gallagher. They said that they would add Gallagher, they would design it for us. But at this point, there are no integrations with any of our systems. We would have to get them to do it for us, and they said they would do it for free. So that to me means best endeavors. They do it when they can. And my understanding as well is that once, even before Jose left, they kind of walked away from the table. So they haven't been pretty responsive on getting back to us on kind of information. So you give me the nod to leave them a be and we'll let it go. And or you want me to start pounding on their door to try to get them to talk to us again? You tell me. I'll be the sledgehammer if you want me to be.
I just make a historical comment and then John can make a historical comment because we were both here when this all began. ONR, we've already said it was going to be a one-stop shop for everything and it would incorporate a bunch of different things. The RecPro replacement was the primary driver that we needed that because RecPro was going to end. So that was driving ONR. And then we also said, well, it's going to be a one-stop shop. So it also has a chat feature. We're going to also integrate GoGov in some fashion. It was going to do a whole bunch of things, but then one by one, those things started falling away. Like, for example, we just talked about the chat feature. How are we going to use this? How are we going to moderate it? How are we going to prevent problems with chat feature? So that disappeared. Then we couldn't wait for them to integrate GoGov, and we needed GoGov, and we didn't want to have two apps, as John said. So we went with GoGov. So now we no longer need ONR for GoGov unless ONR does its primary function of collecting other apps. But what apps are left to collect? It would be Gallagher if it could be integrated in there, and I don't know that it could. And then we have the problem reporting, GoGov, also called My Celebration, and then RecPro. These things are all underway and going on their own. I'm looking for what would be the utility of ONR now. What's it going to do for us that we don't already have?
It would have been a replacement for RecPro, but now RecPro is owned by DaySmart, which fixed the app up to be exactly the way we need it.
So problem solved, right? The driver of ONR is solved. That is RecPro.
Yeah.
So why don't we? I mean, my suggestion: we put ONR aside, and if it turns out down the road, and this is still an open item, Andrew, because I wasn't totally happy with the last GoGov meeting that we had with the outcome. We may, at the end of is it 3 years where it's prepaid for us? We may want to go back and say, hey, is this really the correct problem reporting tool for us? At the moment, it seems to be working pretty well. There are some issues with it, but they're minor. So GoGov is pretty solid. So I can't, at the moment, imagine that we would abandon GoGov and go to something new and have a separate app for problem reporting, and now have the two apps for problem reporting, because CCDD is going to continue on with GoGov no matter. So it seems like we're on a course to continue with GoGov. If it can't be integrated in ONR, what good would ONR be?
Yeah, we need to continuously either research and look for products that have open APIs that we can, even if they may not integrate, we can put a middle ground somewhere and say, okay, I need this field to match this field, and we can put something in the middle that will help limit the amount of apps that we're using for our residents.
Yeah,
I mean, to sell it as Microsoft Office has Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and Outlook, where Celebration Suite has My Celebration FL and Gallagher, and now new RecPro.
Yeah, and RecPro will be recognized by the residents today. The only difference is it's called DaySmart, and it's the look and feel is going to be newer, but they'll be able to recognize it by just clicking on the options. And instead of just going to a website to look at what rooms are available and then calling us, you can now look at the room that's available, click on the book button, pay your holding fee, and then move on.
Right.
And then you pay whenever you have to pay.
Yeah, and I just want to, like Tom said, everything Tom said historical is spot on. Just my only argument was back then, and I'll say it again now, is like I work with companies all the time who develop apps on iOS, and Apple's best recommendation is always don't create one app that does everything, because it never does everything great. Have apps for specific things, and those apps can be great. And if something goes wrong, you just fix that one app. But again, I understand residents and I understand technology, and a lot of residents are scared by it. Hey, download this and download that. I understand that, right? So it's weighing both of those for the best experience.
Yeah, I mean, we could create a Canvas type product that will bring you to the different applications, but the customer will only have to just look at that one simple app and say, oh, I need to book a room, Parks and Rec, click, and it'll bring you to that. We can probably get something like that to happen.
How many people are using all three apps? Probably pretty low percentage of people using all three apps out of all the residents of Celebration. So I think it's time to turn off the O&R conversation and walk away. Do we have agreement from Molly, John, Tom? Are you there?
Yes.
It was a good idea, but it's
Which for this committee, I think O&R was a 3-year deal, so let that terminate and we're done with them.
Yep.
And I think that happens next year.
I
Okay.
believe so.
All
I think
right.
it's all paid for already.
Yeah, it was
It was-
prepaid.
yeah, it wasn't that much money, right? A couple thousand, 3,000 or something like that.
I want to say three or four. Yeah.
That's I think what it was.
Okay. Any comments from the committee?
I'm
We're
hungry.
off this call. I am too. Okay. Any action items? Anything new? Molly, John, Tom, anything new to add to the list?
Just
No,
let me
I mean-
know for more testing on Gallagher. I'm happy to go anywhere and test.
Yep, I have a couple action items. I will add them, and then I'll send it out to you all. Basically, it's all Gallagher stuff and the action items to find out what the penalties are of getting rid of those units as well. See what the NovaCharge contract states on that aspect, just to make sure that even though we're not using them, and if we want to get rid of them, we're not going to get smacked in with
We
some sort of
talked about
penalty.
that, Tom. We extensively looked at those. We were in Artisan eating lunch going over those. Remember, Tom, which
Okay.
was the best one? And I think we limited our liability.
Okay.
And then, yeah, for the committee, I'll get discussion items at board level next week for the new Rec Pro. That's where we're going to proceed. And sunsetting of O&R, and then the EV solution.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you all for your time this evening, and have a great holiday season, and we will be talking in the new year.
Thanks, Bill.
Yeah.
Sounds
Have a
good.
good one.
Thank you.
Enjoy, everyone. Happy holidays.